Beyond that, I can't tell you. All right, so Vermont, Ohio, Brisbane, Des Moines, Moscow, Shimakaze, Harugumo, Daring, Yuyang up against Ohio Conqueror, Brisbane, Moscow, Marseille, Shimakaze, Daring, Kaba, and Daring. Two ships up there that you wouldn't normally expect to see, Kaba and Conqueror. Yes, it's a known issue. Conqueror is kind of weird. So, Conqueror, very good battleship, sets fires to everything, of course, breaks everything with its HE. But beyond that, I don't know what a Conqueror really brings. Like, okay, concealment and a super heal, sure, but you know, compared to a lot of the other battleships, like Ohio, for example, I just feel like a little on the weak side. Hoskins did have a shirt and tie, last weekend. That is true, Duckman. That was cool to see. That was something that Sea Raptor and I started 3 years ago when we were doing King of the Sea finals and whatnot. All right, so beginning battle. You guys are. It's a radar Ewing, of course. All right, you guys are heading towards A. Token force to C, token force to B. So it looks like the beef is going to go to A. Button, are you still there?
Maybe.
Have you felt that the Ewing has been that helpful today?
Engine boost deactivated.
Nah.
Mm-hmm. Kind of how I felt too.
Like, it's. I mean, Brisbane, like, with its torps, I think is more effective, but. It's just. I mean, deepwater torps are. Oh, they're low detect. I've only seen one game where really it came into play, and it was because one of the clubbers had to rotate over to get Bravo cap.
Okay.
And that left a gap in the torp screening of they go underneath me.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was the cause of. I don't think it flipped any game.
So the reason I'm bringing that up, guys, is Yu Yang, of course, known for its deep water torpedoes. It's a lower draft ship. So if I cut the camera here, you can see that it sits lower on the water compared to a gearing does. So it's a little bit harder to hit. But and it does have torpedo reload booster. So it's really good against enemy ships that are pushing. Go back a couple of replays when we saw Double Marseille and Burgon pushing a flank, right? Those deep water torps with a reload booster are great for that. But beyond that, I kind of feel like there's a lot that's missed out on. Like, for example, right here. Obi could radar, but whoever got into A is probably already gone, so he's choosing not to as a result. Which is okay, but also kind of feels bad, you know?
I mean, it's one of those, like, I don't remember who we were casting, but the Des Moines never used his radar, which drove GP nuts, or his hydro. But the gearing hit something with his torpedoes was close enough to be radared.
Yeah, it never got radared.
Never got radared. And It's the only reason the gearing that did get hit by the torpedoes live.
Yeah, sure.
And it's like, we can see this.
Because most
Like,
of the
we
time,
know the gearing got hit with torpedoes. We know it's low. But the enemy team, right? Did you notice when your torpedo hit, if you were even paying attention, or were you talking about something else? It's just one of those. Like,
yeah.
knowing what these players are talking about, what's going on at that particular moment with them, explains so much more than, wow, that guy's an idiot. He never hit his radar. There's so much more going on that we just don't know.
Right.
That we'll never know at this point, because everybody wisely went to sleep except for us.
We're still here. So something interesting. First of all, did your winner say something in chat yet or no?
Probably not, and I ain't giving them a lot of time.
Okay. GP lost it about Elster Des Moines, which Putin is referring to. Okay. That's unfortunate.
It's GP.
Michael Daly 57, if you're here, say something in chat. So I paused it here for an important, you talk about radar and using the radar and stuff like that, right? So Obi used the radar before getting on the cap just to see if there's a destroyer within range. Detected nobody. Continued backing into the cap. Got into the cap. Is now radared. Chat. Enemy team. Who's radaring him?
Damn it, Stevie.
Thinking. Thank you for the follow. What's the matter with Stevie?
He's blocking the enemy lineup.
Oh.
Wait, no. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He is. So who's
It's 12 kilometers. It's got to be Brisbane, because you don't put a Moskva on smoke.
Moskva last spotted at Delta 6 Island, so you know it's the Brisbane, right? So the point I'm getting at...
I didn't even have to look at the mini-map to know that.
Right, because that's what the Moskva spot is. Or possibly, possibly Delta 5. So, alright, you draw out the radar. You're being shot at. And, alright. Either you're out of range or the radar expired. Most likely you're out of range right now of the Brizzy. So you got the ability to back up again, get into the cap. The only problem is your radar is down now. So if something else gets into the cap, yeah. Let's see what happens. Your rudder's up, but you don't care about that. I would probably DCP anyway, just so that the rudder's available should you need it. In like a brown alert moment. What's going on at sea? Des Moines is sitting there doing the Des Moines things. Ohio's all the way on the 10 line. Vermont is taking some hits. Daring fight at B cap. Okay. You end up with the stalemate. But you gotta find a way to make this work. Obi is backing into the cap. Now he stopped here. Very smart. All he has to do is hit W once and he gets out. He's got 15 seconds to cap. Enemy team manages to grab C. Obi is backing up. That reverse is... I'm curious about that. Alright, there we go. He detects the gearing. Gearing opens up. So what that means is your Vermont, your Hargamo, Brisbane can help. And now because he opened up, you can just stay right outside of your detection with him. And he's detected for 10, basically about another 15 seconds, right?
Torpedoes astern. Engine boost deactivated.
Obi's gonna take one on the butt here. Oh, you gotta take two! Oh, catastrophic, you're dead. You are dead, sir. Very, very, very unlucky. Very unlucky. Thank you for the follow there, E-Tug. So he takes those hits. I forgot to take my death pick. Give me a sec. There you go. That look how you eat your torpedoes and destroyers? Yeah, it happens. It really does. Good that you're not the only one. Still, I feel like that was way too... I feel like it was too risky early on. I think you're better off playing a little bit more cautious. Whatever. It is what it is. So, Tukwama over at C-Cap with Optical. You should be able to get the C-Cap. Oh, and I didn't catch this. The Daring actually manages to get the B-Cap for BONKZ. So this is looking pretty good at this point. Other than Obi dying here. Looking pretty good. What's the matter?
With Obi being dead, what do they contest A with? So A is whatever the red team is. Green doesn't really have an option until the Ohio dies. So, like, the red team has to know this, so you just leave the Cabo over there. Ohio can almost stay where he's at while they help out with Bravo. Right? You can take your gearing off of A. Or you just leave the gearing to torpedo defend A. Like I said, rotate the Ohio a little bit, but make sure he stays mid to help defend A if he needs to.
Well, that is indeed the hard part. And you can see Cabo detected now going to be. So, you know that at that point, the Gearing and Brisbane Death Snail are going to stay over there. I don't know that I like that Nagato and UU are leaving this flank automatically just because they lost the destroyer there, the Gearing. I really do think they could still stay on the one line. I almost feel like they have to, because if they give this up, there's nothing that stops STCN from pushing down the one line. Cool Duke, thank you for the follow. And I really feel like that's a issue.
Well,
35 blues, nice.
I'll throw the counter argument to you. Like, I mean, we can do this all day too. You continue up the one line, the Ohio just reverses. Right? You have zero cover, right? Like, you realistically, you need to see if the Ohio is fully committed to B or if he's committed to staying there. With him being there means he can defend both caps.
So, what I would do is I would play the Brisbane Paragumo Golf 1-2 until I know for a fact that the STCN Gearing and Brisbane have left the area. Because you want to be in a position to back cap if necessary. Heading the way that they're heading right now.
They're just giving up A completely for zero reason.
Correct. And B is already...
You could have a Gearing in your backfield and you don't even know it yet.
Yep. And you can see UU is torping in case that is happening, which I like. But I don't like the thought that, oh, well, we lost our destroyer here, we have to give it up. You've got a Haragumo still, so it's not like you've lost your destroyer over there.
No, it just makes it more difficult to get A.
It does. Again, this is OB's view right now after dying. Todd Howard's is trying to make something happen. Oh, no. And he's going to go down right here, I think. Oh, yeah. And that's basically it. I mean, you guys have lost 2 destroyers already.
It's almost a 400-point difference, too.
Yeah. It's very difficult to come back up here. Nagato trying to make something happen. He's smoking himself and detected this entire time. Probably within radar range of that Moskva, so feels bad.
I mean, like, you know, the other thing people don't take into account is it's a Saturday for NA, and it's usually when people want to sleep in, right? So it's early, Granted, most people would be up at this time if they had to go to work, but with it being Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
it's still early for the NA.
Mm-hmm.
For EU, it's what, evening?
Something like that.
So, like, NA and EU kind of, you could give, well, the first game, everybody's tired, like for
Yep.
the NA. And the last game you can say for the EU is, well, it's nighttime for them. They're tired while NA is fully awake.
Mm-hmm.
What time is it in Asia? In China?
Quite late.
Like, these guys have to completely work around this schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just shows the commitment, at least from the Asian teams, to get it done.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The teams that have it quote unquote easy time wise are the teams that are in EU, right? Because I mean, for the most part, it's around prime time for them. So,
That's what I'm saying. Like NA and EU, it's not the worst time ever,
hmm
but the easiest time zone would be EU. The second easiest would be NA, and then like, holy crap, what the hell is going on? Is Asia, China,
right. So,
and this can affect decision making.
oh, sure, we can, we can. Fortunately or unfortunately, with the way the world is set up, with so much ocean over in Asia, it makes sense that NA is early, EU is normal, and Asia is late. And it might be kind of nice to rotate through that in future tournaments to see if that actually does have an impact. But from a strict look at time zones, I can understand why that's a thing.
It's the best compromise.
Yes. Um. So I paused the render at a pivotal moment here, right? Which is he's trying to keep that gearing spotted. In doing so, he's going to end up taking two of those gearing torpedoes. He allowed himself to get detected by the gearing and then stayed there. And then he's going to take the torps, right? This is Obi-Wan. And actually, not there, sorry. It's the next salvo. There it is, right there. And I wonder, I don't know which torpedoes those were. They could have been Brizzy torpedoes or it could have been gearing. Either way, as soon as that happens, look at the Harugumo. He's like, nope, I'm out of here. Really don't like that.
I don't either, but I mean, like I said, at this particular moment, you don't have to fully leave, but it's going to
hmm
be difficult to make a play on a with the Ohio alive. Like
Oh, yeah.
either the Ohio needs to fully commit to B, which would put him at like D6, which means he can't just reverse the shoot and you just back cap A.
hmm
But just leaving A instead of going, you know what? Let's wait for a smoke. We're gonna smoke up, get A. You do have an island you can dip into, and let's see if we can get the gearing.
Right.
And this is what I'm saying about like just awakeness of people.
hmm
You know, are you noticing these small things? Are you aware of it, or are you just like, oh, this is the plan in a call, and I'm just going to follow it blindly and not care what the hell happens because I can always blame the caller.
I mean, a part of this, of course, is you've practiced probably to the point of exhaustion these various strategies, right? And it's gotten to the point where you've got a plan. All it takes is one person to screw that plan up to then start you down this path of, well, we're effed, right? So, you know, I mean, I kind of understand. Marin, thanks for the follow. Also, I'm just curious.
I mean, this is we could sit here and theory craft
Mm-hmm.
until you know tomorrow's COTS.
There's a
And I loved it when they came in here and like, nah, this is what we thought we did, or nah, we failed to realize that. Like we have the advantage of, A, not being in the game, B, no
Mhm.
pressure on who wins or loses,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And like all we get to do is sit here and comment on other mistakes.
Right?
I hate to say it, but I mean, that's all we're doing. It's like, oh my God, why didn't they do that? Oh, if they clearly would have done this, it's like they might not have known to clearly do that. Like, uh, I don't know if it was last week with GP or if it was with you, Sleeping Giant.
Mhm.
Everybody left B cap. Just
Hmm.
two flanks, and B cap was free for like at least 5 minutes. I'm like, so what? You get radar? What do we? You got B cap for free. Rotate over. Then you can
Mhm.
deal with your push. You're putting the other team on the hot seat the minute you get a cap because you
Uh-huh.
are now technically behind. They have win
Right.
condition,
Right.
right? And if you're fighting for the flanks, like, hey, guess what? B's a free cap. Guess what? Now you have win condition. All you got to
Mhm.
do is get one more and defend up that or give that up and win the other side.
So there are some lessons that I think we've learned from watching COTS, right? I think number one is the importance of protecting health pool. Um, that is far more important than seeing the enemy. That is far more important than even killing an enemy, is ensuring that your ships are alive so they can do the damage later. Um, the other big lesson is, of course, never abandoning one side or one cap completely. One thing I like about this game is that bonks did go to each cap. They did compete on every cap. Um, it's unfortunate that torpedoes hit where they did, and I think that showcases the strength of gearing compared to Yu Yang. Is Yu Yang can't hit destroyers with torpedoes, whereas gearing can. And there have been a number of COTS battles, myself, that I've covered, you've covered too, where I mean, a single torpedo salvo ends up deciding the game, right? Because a destroyer can't push, could kill it outright, but I mean, if it doesn't, that a certain ship can't push, can't make something work on that side, etc., etc.
Completely changes the way you have to play it.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
even like we watched the Ragnar just get focus fire live,
Mm-hmm.
but man, you've got 5 minutes before you can do a damn thing because you need to go through all your heals to remain competitive, to
Right,
actually do something.
right.
You know, I think Obi's like, it's so easy to just sit here and go, well, clearly you shouldn't have radared because it was a waste.
Mm.
But should like maybe he really should have waited for that radar. Maybe he shouldn't have reversed. Well, clearly he shouldn't have reversed back in, right?
Right.
But how much does having that radar going to affect him reversing back in?
Mm-hmm.
You know, compared to, oh, I've got the Brisbane Guma with me.
Mm-hmm.
To what the decision was like at, at the time before he died. Yeah, kind of didn't need A as badly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was a bad call for him to just reverse to go back in, especially after being spotted. Smoke or no smoke, DD spotted. Hey, guess where torps are going? Torts,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it, you're not spotting Gary torps till they're on you, and then
Yep.
he did it right. He backed in. Normally, you're gonna fit through the gap. Unfortunately for him, there are two torpedoes on top of each other.
Sometimes RNG decides to screw you in the butt, and that's what happened to Obi. That's all.
And what can he do? Send torpedoes at the gearing and go, "Grr, I can't hit you." And now the Brisbane doesn't even need to use hydro because the
Right.
gearing goes, "Oh, look at these things underneath me."
Right. Isn't that the best time to cap A as their radar was down, destroyer fleeing, and his radar was about to? Well, sure. But what you saw there was he radared early to try to catch that gearing off guard. and then it didn't happen, and then he got radared by the Brisbane, forced back. So the Gearing knows, well, maybe the Gearing doesn't know that OB's radar is off. Either way, he put himself in a position to potentially take a lot of damage. He got lucky. Let's be real, that Gearing got lucky that he didn't take a lot of damage for the trouble, and he managed to get 2 torpedoes in OB. So, luck has a part of it.